Okay, let's talk about something we've all run into. You sit down to meditate, you're ready for some peace and quiet, but your mind, it's got a completely different agenda. It's so frustrating, right? But what if the problem isn't just that your mind is busy? What if the real issue is that you haven't quite figured out why it's so busy in the first place?
I mean, have you ever had that feeling? The second you close your eyes, it's like a runaway train of thoughts, worries, and your entire to-do list just barrels through your head. If that sounds familiar, you are definitely not alone. It's probably the most common hurdle in meditation. But the really good news is, there's a way to figure out what's going on, a kind of system.
So here it is. This is the whole framework. It's a simple 3-point check. When you just can't seem to settle down, we're going to check 3 things. First, what's going on in your mind. Second, the quality of your breath. And third, your actual perception of what's happening. Think of it like a troubleshooter's guide for your own head.
All right, first stop on our checklist, the mind itself. You know, sometimes all that mental static, it isn't just random noise. It's real, unresolved stuff bubbling up. And just trying to shove it back down, well, you know how that goes. It just doesn't work. The fix isn't to stop thinking. It's to learn how to think about your problems in a much more skillful way.
And this is a huge shift, right? The goal isn't to force your mind to be empty. It's to help it become wise. A lot of the time, the stress we feel comes from the way we're used to thinking about our problems. So the key is to learn a new way to relate to them, a way that actually unburdens your mind so it can finally settle down.
So, how do we actually do that? Well, the source material gives us 2 really powerful tools that can completely change our perspective. The first one is a more skillful way of understanding karma, and the second is the active practice of cultivating goodwill. Let's break down what these actually look like in real life.
This completely reframes karma. Forget the idea of some cosmic judge. Instead, picture your mind as a field. It's full of all kinds of seeds from your past actions, some good, some not so good. Now, just because a bad seed is sprouting right now doesn't mean the whole field is ruined. The most important thing to get is that you have the power, in this very moment, to decide which seeds you're going to water.
Now, for the second tool, there's this brilliant analogy. I want you to imagine your past mistakes or negative actions are like a big lump of salt. If you throw that salt into a small cup of water, yeah, you're going to ruin it. But what do you think happens if you throw that exact same lump of salt into a giant flowing river?
See, that's the power of goodwill. When you actively train your mind in kindness, in compassion for everyone, including yourself, your mind becomes that large river. It gets so vast and resilient that the salt from past mistakes just gets diluted. It can't pollute the whole system. That is your protection. That's how you build a mind that can handle things.
Okay, so let's say you've done that. You've worked with your thoughts, but you're still feeling antsy or maybe even physically uncomfortable. It's time for our second diagnostic check, the breath. The problem might just be that we're thinking about the breath in way too limited of a way.
We need to really broaden our definition here. The breath isn't just the feeling of air in your nose or your chest. Think of it more as the entire flow of energy moving through your whole body. As soon as you start to perceive it that way, a whole new world opens up. You have so much more to work with, especially when you're dealing with pain or tension.
So here's a really practical way to do this. Let's say your shoulder is super tense. Okay, first, just notice it. Then, bring your awareness to another part of your body that feels relaxed, maybe your hand. Really tune into that relaxed feeling. Now, just see if you can allow that same quality of ease to spread over to the tense shoulder. You're basically using your breath energy to soothe and release that tension.
And that brings us to our third and final check, and this one is the most subtle of all. Sometimes the problem isn't the thoughts, and it isn't the breath. It's our very perception, how we're relating to the breath. We might actually be setting ourselves up to get distracted without even knowing it.
I absolutely love this analogy, the inchworm mind. Picture it. Your mind is like an inchworm. It has its back legs planted firmly on the breath, that's the old leaf. But the front part of its body is already lifting up. It's waving around, searching for the next leaf, the next shiny distraction. It hasn't even fully left the breath yet, but it's already looking to wander off. That's the warning sign.
So how do you stop the inchworm? Well, you change the whole landscape. Instead of giving it just one tiny leaf to hold onto, you give it the entire branch. You shift from a very narrow, single-point focus to a broad, spacious awareness that fills your whole body. And how on earth do you do that? Well, you can build up to it.
You could start by just being aware of two spots at the same time, like both of your hands. Then feel the line of awareness that connects them. From there, just allow that awareness to get three-dimensional, to expand and fill out the entire shape of your body, all the way from your head to your toes.
Here's another great way to think about why this is so effective. When you're just focusing on one tiny spot, like the tip of your nose, it's like you're holding onto a big post with only one hand. So what's your other hand doing? It's free. It's waving around, ready to grab onto any thought, any sound, any little thing that floats by.
But when your awareness fills your entire body, it's like you're giving that post a full-body hug. Your attention is full. Both hands are occupied. There are no extra hands left over to grab onto distractions. Your awareness now has a solid shape, the shape of your body, and it's so much more stable.
So let's bring this all home. We've looked at the mind, we've looked at the breath, and we've looked at our perception. And what we find when we put it all together is a really surprising, kind of radical conclusion about what thinking is for in meditation. This is the absolute core of it, and it's so beautifully counterintuitive. We're always told that thinking is the enemy of meditation, that we have to crush it and get rid of it. But this approach shows us that actually, skillful thinking is the very tool you use to solve the problem of unskillful thinking. You see, that time you spend reflecting on goodwill or reframing a problem, that is not a waste of time. It is not you failing to concentrate. It is a vital, necessary part of the path. You're using these skillful thoughts to clear the ground so that a deeper stillness has space to arise, all on its own.
And that really leaves us with a final question to chew on. We've put all this pressure on ourselves to have a totally blank mind. But what if that was never really the point? What if the true goal of meditation isn't to stop thinking, but to learn how to use your mind with wisdom, with clarity, and with kindness? What if the real prize isn't an empty mind, but a truly skillful one?